Hello and welcome to the Financial Deep Dive with CWT. My name is Caleb Tanner and I own financebycwt.com, a website creating tons of content all about the stock market through like podcasts, blogs, and all that kind of stuff. It's basically a financial media company. Go to financebycwt.com right now and check it out. Like, of course, links in the description. But what I really want to talk about in today's podcast episode is Warren Buffett said a few things at the annual, like Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting that I thought was really interesting. And I wrote an article about this on financebycwt.com, but I wanted to do a podcast episode where we kind of look more into exactly what was said, and I wanted to talk about some of the things that kind of like resonated with me. So he was talking, and basically, like he said, he has no idea what the stock market's going to do when it opens Monday. And I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially what he said is that he has no idea how the stock market will open Monday. He never has. And, I thought that was very interesting because obviously no one knows how the stock market can open ever. Like, everyone has different ideas, but no one truly knows what the market's going to do at any given time. And if someone like Warren Buffett is going to sit there, who's arguably the greatest investor that has ever existed, but if someone like Warren Buffett is going to sit there and say that he doesn't know how the market's going to open, like, there's no possible way I'm going to sit here and say that I do know how it's going to open. Like, obviously I have no idea. And anyone who's honest will tell you they have no idea. But what was really interesting is that right after that, he basically said that it doesn't really matter. Like, he's never really, and he was with Charlie Munger at the time, but Warren Buffett said that he doesn't think they ever have bought a stock or made their investments based off how the market was currently acting, basically. Like, if the market's going, way down, like, he doesn't look at just market trends in general, he looks at the companies themselves. And obviously that is very difficult to actually do. I mean, even right now the stock market's down like 13%, but, which is a lot, but it's not compared to things that have happened before, right? Like, it's probably the biggest drop that I've personally experienced as I've been investing, or it's the biggest downtrend since I started investing. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much at all. We're basically just where the market was last year in May. And, I think it's interesting, looking, how Warren Buffett was saying, when you see everything go down that much and you took a portfolio and it's losing, that much money, every single day, it is difficult to see. But it's the wrong way to think when buying a stock. Like, let's say, and I'm going to use SoFi for an example because that's one of my favorite companies. But I look at SoFi stock and I bought it because I like the valuation it was at. I like the growth that it's experiencing. And also looking at the company, I use it myself, their app all the time. And I love my experience with the app and believe that they're going to absolutely dominate, and especially for college age people doing finance. Their banking's amazing. With the interest with the interest back they provide, there's no reason not to bank with them, basically. I like their credit card a lot. I think it'll keep getting better. I like their investing platforms. And because of all that, I like the marketing team behind it. I like the people that own SoFi. Like the people that are actually running the company. And because of that, I look at all that, and that's why I want to buy SoFi stock. And that's why I have bought SoFi stock, and that's why I continue to buy it, even though, it's had an absolutely terrible year this year. Which makes sense with everything going on, refinancing student loans is a big part of their business, and with everything happening in that market right now, it makes sense why the stock won't be doing well. But, that's why I love that company. And all those things are still true. I still love the services they do. I still love the management team behind it. It doesn't matter how far the stock falls. All those things remain to be true. And because of that, then it doesn't matter if we're in a bull market or bear market. As long as all the things I mentioned remain true, for me, I should be buying the stock. And when you look at and that's kind of to like what Warren Buffett was really saying. Like that's what I took it to mean. Like, when he buys the particular stocks he buys, it doesn't matter if the market's going down at the time. It doesn't matter if it's a bull market or bear market. If he sees a company, he likes the financials behind it. He likes the intrinsic value behind it. He likes the growth rate that it has. He believes in the company. He respects the management team. If he sees all of those in a business, then he buys the stock because it doesn't matter. Because no matter how, it doesn't matter if the stock market has gone down 10 days in a row. No one knows what it's going to do the next day when it opens. So that's one thing that I've been trying to, take advantage of myself is that I don't know how the market's going to open tomorrow. There's no way that I possibly can. But I do know a company's PE ratio. I do know the market cap of the stock. I do know the PS ratio. I do know the actual assets that it holds. I do know the growth rate that it's experiencing. And those are all factors that I do know and will always know. And because of that, I can make a decision to buy a stock or not. Like, what the market's actually doing has no effect at all. And there's no reason that I should ever buy, a stock based off that. Now, obviously, when it comes to like index funds and stuff like that, what the market's doing, not even then really, because again, you have no idea what's going to happen the next day. If you believe in even an S&P 500 ETF, if you believe in basically the American economy, if you think it'll continue to grow, if you think the top 500, if you think the actual market itself will continue to expand, then even then it doesn't matter what the market's going to do tomorrow. If all the things that all the things I just said you still believe in, that's really all that matters at that point. If it's still going to be, if you still believe in all those things, and it doesn't matter what the market's currently doing, it still makes sense to buy. And obviously it's easier said than done. Even for me, I look at, because I invest pretty heavily in S&P 500, and I look at how that's been doing lately, and it's maybe you should take a break from doing it because of how much it's been going down lately. But every time I think that, I'm also reminded by the Warren Buffett quote, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. And to be honest, I'm definitely pretty greedy right now. Especially as the more and more it goes down, like I said, things haven't changed. I still believe in the American economy overall. I still believe that the market over a long period of time will continue to grow. And because of that, every time it goes down, I should be pretty happy that I get to buy at an even lower rate because that means I get to make more money later on. And I do believe people make way more money buying on red days than they do on green days. When you actually are able to get it at a much lower price and experience the uptrend that way, I think it's absolutely amazing. So yeah, with Warren Buffett saying stuff like that, and also it just makes more this is the time I feel to buy, and I don't care what the market's gonna do next month. I care what it's gonna do over a 10 to 20 year period. But whatever it does next week, next month, even next year, all that is secondary. Because, the premises that I just laid out are ones that I accept. And as long as I accept those, it just makes sense to buy. So that's what I do, right? If all those things are true, it just makes sense to buy. So, yeah, those are the quotes by Warren Buffett that I thought were actually, were very interesting, especially when he talks about, what actually, happens in the market. And obviously, he's in charge of, a pretty large holding company with, over $100 billion in cash right now. So, yeah, the moves he makes are, large sums of capital going in. But the fact that, he's not worried about, the market trends at all, because he knows it doesn't really matter in the long run. What matters is, the other factors that I described. And, with that, it doesn't really matter what the market's doing. It matters about the PE ratio, the market value, the intrinsic value of the stock, the growth rate potential that it has. And if you look at that, and all of that seems Like it seems like you look at that, it's like it's perfect for what you want in your investment portfolio. That it doesn't matter what the market's going to do tomorrow. It just makes sense to buy it. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And that's really all I got to say for this podcast episode. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel or whatever podcast platform you're currently listening on. And go to financebycwt.com. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at financebycwt. Thank you for watching and listening.